So I have the cardboard, I have the paper. The next thing I'm going to do is get this flipped over and under the book. So I have just tan on the inside. I'm not going to put, I haven't really ran across anything that floats my boat as far as a paper for the inside of this yet. And I don't have to do that before I can start moving on with this cover. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the paper to just the flat surfaces of the front, the spine, and the back. And while that's doing and drying, curing, I can start making the spine for the inside of this. And for that, you're going to need an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And what we're going to do is we're going to try not to cut the 11-inch part of it. We're going to keep it maybe at 8, I think. There are some smaller books, but we can customize each one in the holders that's going to hold each folio. So if we need one that's at 6 inches, we can always trim it after it's already made. The Mod Podge mix, I usually use 3 parts of the Mod Podge and 1 part of just school glue and some water. I usually go about 1 part depending on how runny or thick I want it. And what we'll do is once we get this placed, I'm going to smother this spine. I'm going to bring the paper up and then over. And that's where I'm going to work from. Once this spine is on attached well, I'll worry about getting the front and the backs done. But it's that easy. And then again, after it's on here, I'm going to come back through. And usually what I do is I use my ruler and I'll line it up against the edge of the cardboard. I'll draw a line. I'll come back and trace, cut it out. And then that's what I'll use to fold in half and then up over the edge. But you'll want, whatever you're going to cover the inside in, you'll want that in place before you do that. However, like I said, you can attach the outside, just go to that point and stop. And then when you get your inside ready to go, then you can fold it up and over. Hey everybody, so I have an old bouillon cube container, and it's got roughly a 1/2 inch of water in the bottom of it. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put about the same amount of white glue, good old squeeze, kind of get that mixed up. You can say, you know, definitely it wants to keep that blob shape, so you make sure you get that good and on its way to being stirred up. And then, keeping with the 3 parts Mod Podge, 1 part water, 1 part glue, I am going to fill up the rest of my container with the Mod Podge. And that will be more than enough Mod Podge to do this inside, to attach the paper to the journal, and then to give it a final coat on the outside once we're done. Stir, stir, stir. Y'all, I'm going to apologize for any weather noises you might hear. We are under all kinds of warnings. So, I think I can hear the rain hitting the roof right now. Get this close enough on the one end to where you'll have, you know, at least a ruler's width is what I like to do. Okay. Get your front and your back together. And then I'm going to slide it down. Try not to hit anything on the way. And I'm going to start here on the spine of the book. And I am going to smother the cardboard. And if you make a mess, it's okay. it's all going to be applied onto the paper or the book in one way or another. I apply my Mod Podge and everything to the cardboard because it does soften that paper. And I'm using that thin packing paper we all get in our packages these days. So I kind of want to keep it dry until I get it to where it needs to go. Make sure you cut everything good. And I'm going to bring the paper up to the back of the journal, or spine, I should say. And I'm going to rub it with my hand, trying to get out the, any air bubbles that might be in there. Make sure that the paper comes in contact with that glue. But I'm going to make sure that I'm not removing all the wrinkles. That's just going to help me with the leather look as we go. I went through and I put a couple little stamp pieces on my spot. I also have some of the dragonfly glaze, and I'm going to come back through and on a couple other little spots, I'm going to add a little bit of that to give it even more interest. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this, I have a hair. I'm going to let this set for a few minutes, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to make sure that it is all attached. And then I'm going to do the back and the front the same way. For them, I'm going to peel this back, and then I'm going to apply all the Podge mix to this, and then I'm going to take the paper to it and smooth it down onto the journal.